It is time now for Ask the Expert, and Colleen, Lyle Real Estate is in the house today. Colleen joining us. Here's the number on your screen for how you can put your questions to her. 789-6559, extension 2803. You can also email any questions you have about real estate, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca, or send them on our Facebook page, CTV Ottawa Morning Live. Colleen, good morning.
Good morning.
You made it.
We did. Barely, but we made it.
We made it. Okay, let's chat about the real estate market today, the middle of February. Is it still strong at this time in snowstorms?
Surprisingly, the market is one that we haven't seen in a couple of decades. So the market right now is a strong one, and yet it's what we refer to as a seller's market. Mm-hmm. So what does a seller's market mean, basically? And in a seller's market, we have low inventory but high demand. Okay. You know, just like any rule of thumb, if there is low supply, the demand gets thrown off. Yeah. So there are a lot of people out there right now who are very frustrated with a seller's market. And what we're finding is it's a tug and pull, right? So there's very high frustration in a seller's market, and today we'll be talking about in future segments. Today we'll be talking about what it means to be in a buyer for a seller's market, what it means to be a seller in a seller's market. But what we're finding right now is that with low inventory, everybody's kind of in hold mode, where sellers aren't selling because they can't find something to buy, buyers aren't selling, aren't moving around. So we're really in a very time where no one wants to move, but everybody does.
Right. I get it. It's kind of like we're in a freeze mode.
Very much so.
Until somebody starts budging and the movement starts moving again. But we typically in Ottawa do well throughout even the winter months. Even if it is a little bit slower, people can still list at this time of year?
And I'm very much encouraging people, if you're considering selling this year, do it now. You will probably end up in multiple offer. Do not wait, because when we look at the spring market, yes, it's nice and you have a great backyard and you can show off the pool and the perennials. Mm-hmm. Yet right now there aren't enough homes on the market for people who are looking. Currently my team was working with a buyer, and we had to write 12 offers before we got her a home.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that I'm strongly would love to send a message to all our viewers today. List your home, and list your home now, because even though the weather is not that great today, the market is exceptionally strong.
Yeah, people are still looking.
Very
and therefore,
much so.
Like you say, it's a seller's market, so yes. There's no reason to hold back.
No, there is, and there's not. And for those who are thinking, well, I'm just going to wait for the spring, then you have more competition.
Right.
So with no competition, as we'll talk about in a couple of segments, is the fact that some of the advantages of being a seller in a seller's market. But I strongly encourage anybody who is looking at selling this year, talk to your realtor, talk to a professional, and really get some advice about getting your home on the market sooner rather than later.
You don't anticipate it staying the way it is right now, do you?
We don't actually. We always find, and we could be wrong, but we find that every election year things have a tendency to fizzle down a bit.
Yeah.
So as we approach the fall, which in the past has been kind of spring 2.0 kind of market.
Yeah.
We don't expect it to remain that way, because being a government town with a federal election on our heels, it may slow down as we get closer to October.
People usually kind of sit still and just wait to see what happens.
Exactly.
With that. Okay, interesting stuff. So we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to be talking about what a seller's market means for, like Colleen said, for that seller, but for the buyer as well, and why you shouldn't be waiting anymore. Why now is a great time to be listing your home, or buying that home too, if you can find what you're looking for. There's the information for Colleen, Lyle Real Estate. She's with us for today's Ask the Expert. That's how you can get a hold of us to ask her any questions you may have. Maybe you're a buyer, a seller, or you just have some general questions about real estate in Ottawa. She's got the information for you. 789-6559, extension 2803. Ottawa.morning@ctv.ca is our email. I can ask that question on your behalf if you prefer that way, or message us on Facebook. Here today, you can give her a call right now. That's our phone line, 613-789-6559, extension 2803, or send us an email, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca, if you have any real estate questions. And before we were talking, Colleen, about it being a seller's market right now, that this is the time, if you are thinking about putting your house up for sale, do it now, because there's not a lot of inventory out there.
Yep, and if you have a backup plan, you know where you're going to go, that kind of thing. I'm here definitely to send a message. Don't wait for the weather to get better, because the markets can't be any hotter than it is now.
Okay, it's cold outside, but it's a hot market. Let's
Exactly.
talk, we have an email that has come in from Tanya. She is asking, I just bought a new house and it will be ready for us to move into in October. What's the best time for me to put my current house on the market? So that, I guess, plays into what we're talking about.
It does. I think there's moving parts in this question, Tanya, so thank you very much for the question. I think it depends on, first, what she has to sell. You know, if it's a larger home, then a 60 to 90-day close is very traditional. And yet if she's got a townhome, then more than likely someone's going to want a 30-day close. Okay. The other component as well is, as I mentioned, we don't know what the market will be like closer to the election point. So if Tanya has a backup plan where it's just her and a small family, and they have a backup plan where they can move in with the parents, they might want to take advantage of the fact that right now the market may offer her more value in a home than later on in the year. But she definitely kind of needs to work backwards, find a professional that she trusts, and do it that way, because as we'll talk about, negotiating and navigating through this market is incredibly difficult.
So whether, like, it's a almost catch-22 in a way, right? Because if she has that plan where somewhere she can go between 30, 60, or 90 days from now and October, then she's in a good place, because she could probably get top dollar for that home right now.
Absolutely, and if she didn't have a backup plan, then I think staying in contact. I encourage Tanya to reach out to my team or her realtor and make sure that her home is ready to sell. Yeah. And stay poignant on what's going on in the market, because if she's going to wait till June or July, then as long as she's being kept abreast as to what's happening during that time. Because one thing that, as we know and experienced over the last 11 years, the market can change literally from week to week.
Really? That fast?
That fast. So definitely, Tanya, I encourage you to get in touch with your professionals so that you can at least stay posted.
This may be a little off direction, but what makes the market change from week to week? What are the kind of things she should be watching then?
I think it's more of, it depends on the year. So weather, elections, spring market, also Department of National Defense, they come out with all their postings, and they'll come out in the spring. So then the demand for homes in the West End become extremely poignant. So there's all these different things, as well as interest rates and sometimes just political scenery sometimes holds back. So all these different components have something to do with navigating through this kind of market.
Let's have a look at this graphic here that we're looking at. It's focusing on a buyer's market, more people buying homes than selling right now, and a seller's market, more people buying homes than selling, and what that means for both of those people in those categories.
So right now, as I mentioned to you, we're in a seller's market. So let me just focus first on the buyers, because right now buyers are getting very frustrated. And the biggest thing that I would like to share with anybody who is currently looking for a home, number one, I want to say it may actually not be the market for you. If you're a timid buyer and you're not 100% in, it's okay to then, browse the internet and that kind of stuff. But this market is a strong one for sellers. Therefore, some buyers are getting pretty intimidated. The second thing that I really want to mention when you're a buyer in this market is the fact that it is really important to work closely with a lender, because you need to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, because if you're going into to a scenario where more than likely there will be more than one offer on a home, what we are encouraging all our buyers to do is make sure that you have your financing clear. Work with a lender that truly feels comfortable in having that finance clause removed.
Okay.
In addition to the fact you might want to actually even do a pre-inspection before even putting the offer. Being in a seller's market as a buyer, it is more than important to have everything pre-organized before putting down that paperwork, and to try not to get too frustrated because it may take 1 or 2 or in some cases 10 or 12 offers to get you that home.
Okay, Colleen, we're going to continue this conversation. If you have a question for her, there's the information on your screen, how you can ask her right here, live on the air, 789-6559, extension 2803. If you'd like me to ask on your behalf, just send us an email, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca.
To the program, and she's talking about the housing market, but does that apply to condos as well? Is the market hot for condos as well as houses, or just houses?
No, I would, thanks so much for calling in, Cal. I would definitely say that right now it depends what kinds of condos, but again, if it's priced well and shows well, it will sell well. That's the basic rule of thumb. There have been several condos that we've been dealing with in Canada, and we know that they're going into multiple, but the key is, again, in this market, as a seller's market, it is still not a time to get greedy. It is still a time to not cut corners. You still have to show well and price well, and depending on what your realtor is comfortable with, but a lot of times what we're doing is just pricing it really well, and then we're holding back offers, knowing that there may be the opportunity to go and offer Cal, let's say, more money than the asking price. So it's crucial about showing the best when you're on this market.
Yeah, when you say not to get greedy, not to just think that your house will sell and you don't have to do anything to it. Like, all of those things matter, because that can make a difference. What kind of a dollar figure can that make, for example, on a difference for a house if it's staged well, if the photographs are put up and they're well done, if the information that is put up is all well done? How big of a difference can that make in how much they can earn over and above?
Well, we have seen in this particular market ranges from asking price to up to like $25,000 over asking, right? And I'm sure a lot of my colleagues would say, well, I've seen $50,000 over asking. So it depends where you are situated in the market. But at the same time, the fact is that when a buyer can walk in and be impressed with how the house has shown, feels, and been well maintained, that shows that a seller truly cares about their home, and that the buyers definitely pick up on that.
Sellers also might say, well, look, if it's a seller's market, I'll do it by myself.
And I appreciate that. I truly do, for all those people who are thinking about trying to save a few dollars on commission. But at the end of the day, you still have to look at the fact that it is a hard market to negotiate in. Even in the fact that I've been in this business for a decade, the fact is that even now as realtors, we find it challenging and working out the best way to negotiate those deals. And if you're a private seller, this may get really intimidating, because there are certain rules you do have to follow when it comes to irrevocable time, proper clauses, that kind of stuff. And if they don't know how to negotiate that, it's not just through a lawyer, but it's actually through and the paperwork and negotiating when you have multiple showings. You can get yourself in some legal doo-doo if you're not properly educated and all that.
So it literally pays to hire a realtor and get someone who's a professional in the field to make sure that you're following all the steps properly.
And in essence, we're there to help you. We're there to help pay for the staging, pay for some amazing photographers, in addition to hopefully getting you above asking, if not at asking. So that's what we strongly encourage people to just speak to a few realtors, interview them, find one that you click with.
Yeah.
Because there's enough out there where you'll find one that is a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And as I said, in a seller's market, it's not a time to cut corners, but it's a time that you can really focus on the asset that you have, the bricks and mortar.
Colleen, thank you.
You're very welcome.